Hi, my name is Heather Cox, and I have been at Wesleyan for several years now. Um, Many of you already know me, but I am the principal at Shell Lake Elementary School. Um, I've been a principal for 5 years now, and I love my job. I love what I get to do every day with kids. I enjoy working with kids of all ages, really. I was high school before, and so I like teenagers and I like 4-year-olds. I find the hugs I get from kids and just the enjoyment of learning to be the best part of my job. Um, but I'm in it for a lot of reasons, because I love kids and also because I love teachers, and I think teachers are an amazing workforce. They are tireless and they bend over backwards for kids and families. And especially during this time right now, I've been so impressed with how hard they work and how much they love people and love learning. And my heart for this job has been to just make our school culture the best it can possibly be, and to support teachers and help them be the best person they can be. And so that's why I do it even when it gets hard, and that's what reminds me to keep going. I'm doing it for the Lord and to be a light for Him wherever I'm at. So, number two. So sometimes we have to remember that in our jobs we have to submit to our bosses, and what does that look like? And I guess I will talk about this from both sides of the desk, because I am a boss and I have to sometimes have hard conversations with people, and or have to set up really clear parameters and say this is what needs to happen because it's the best thing for our students, it's the best thing for our school, and people don't always like that. But I think from my side, I hope that people understand that usually a good boss has your best interest at heart. And that saying of, I love you, but I love you too much to let you stay the way you are. And so that's sometimes when those conversations are more difficult and are pushing. From my side, I also have to submit to a boss, even as a supervisor of many people. I'm still have to directly report to someone else, and um, I know that I get to be a leader, but I also have to be a follower and a team player. And I know how important it is, and it makes the whole operation work better when we have that respect. And I think it's really important that even if we don't agree, that we come up with a way to say, I can respectfully disagree with you, but I'm still going to follow what you're asking me to do. Number three. So Peter says that we have to relate to our employers with respect. And I think there's a couple of things that make respect easier. Sometimes you genuinely respect your boss because you know that they have the intelligence that they need to be a good leader. You know they have your best interests at heart and they genuinely care about you. They have that empathy, and you know that when they communicate, they're communicating well, and so you understand where they're coming from. Sometimes it's hard to respect your boss because you feel like they're missing one of those pieces. And what I've found in the past is that the best tool I have to be respectful is to communicate well and to say to my boss, I don't agree with that decision, or I don't understand it. Can we talk about it? And if I come out of that conversation and I feel like I didn't get what I wanted, I still have to decide, you know what, I'm going to respect you as my boss because God gave you to me for a reason as my boss, even if I don't agree with you or understand you. Sometimes that's hard, but I think it's a decision. Like I have to walk away from it and say, I'm not going to gripe about this. I'm not going to complain to others. I have to decide this is the way it is. And I'm going to either find another job, or I'm going to decide I'm going to stay here and I'm going to I'm going to comply with the expectations, and I'm not going to do it begrudgingly. Number four. So we're talking about how to have those really difficult conversations in a work situation that might be a toxic culture, for example. Um, and how do you handle when you've not been treated well? For me, I guess I kind of want to talk about this from both sides because I have felt the sting as a leader of others talking behind my back and throwing around a lot of disparaging remarks and questioning decisions I've made and not knowing all the facts and judging based upon that. And I think sometimes we forget that the leaders are in a really hard place. And we have access to a lot more information than other people have. And you don't always know why decisions are made because you don't know all that background information. Um, and the Lord says that as leaders that we will be judged more strongly because of that. And so I take that very seriously. I carry that on my shoulders that the decisions I make are important and they involve people. And even when it's a hard decision and people don't understand it, I still know that I'm doing it to glorify God, and other people might not understand that. So that's from my side of the desk. But as a employee who has to also um, be respectful to a boss or to multiple people who have a say over how I get to act at work. Um, I think the biggest thing is in those lounge discussions, those water cooler discussions, to not get sucked into the negativity because people can start talking negative and kind of moaning and groaning and whining. And it's really easy just to get pulled right into it and say, yeah, I know, I can't believe that our boss said this or did that, or how can they possibly ask this of us? And I know at times in my past, I've actually decided I'm not going to go into the lounge because I don't want to be around that negativity. I don't appreciate it. It just draws me down, and I don't want to be that kind of person. And even just recently, I've had to say to another colleague, I have a tendency to sometimes say negative things. I don't want to be that person, and I need to just shut my mouth. And if I have something negative to say, I need to say it straight to a person's face and say, I'm struggling with this decision you made, straight to that person's face, so that we can try to figure it out instead of those behind closed doors conversations, behind the back conversations. So I think that's a huge piece of respect, is how we talk to our coworkers about our boss, how we talk to others, and remembering that that's not respectful either. And for me, I've been very convicted of that. How am I going to talk about others, whether they're present or not? It should be the same, and it should not be anything I'd be ashamed of. It should be with compassion. So I think respect in the workplace isn't something that a boss can demand. It's something that is earned in one sense, but in another sense that God calls us to respect even when it's hard, because we're doing it to honor him and not necessarily to honor our boss.